The prophet Isaiah. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? They shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. Welcome to the Citizen Arts podcast series, Israeli Voices, Who We Are. Episode 3, Roots of the Provocative Slogan, From the River to the Sea. How Jews and Palestinians in Israel identify themselves and each other. A chilling cemetery interlude. A tech student's dreams at the Technion, Israel's MIT. Walking in Haifa, seeking connections between Palestinians and Jews. Driving north on a highway to Haifa, way up in the north of Israel. Such a narrow strip of the country between the West Bank and the Mediterranean. To the east, it's a forbidding array of fencing. It's mile after mile after mile of barbed wire entwined upwards maybe 15-20 feet, separating Israel from the West Bank. And no inkling all of the headline drama comes out of such a tiny patch. Israelis say if they cross through to the Palestinian towns I can see through the barbed wire, they'll be killed. What about me, I've asked? And what they've said is, that depends on who they think I am. Tooling in the midst of that extremely provocative slogan heard at anti-Israel demonstrations in the States, from the river to the sea. When the British partitioned Palestine, they separated most of the east bank of the Jordan River and all of the Dead Sea's east bank into what's now Jordan. The lands west of the Jordan River and the Dead Sea make up the West Bank, up to this barbed wire fence and security checks at Israel's border that we've been passing. Hillock, yeah. The West Bank, okay. You know, who owns it?
Very complicated. A territory, Arab cities, towns, villages, Hebron, Bethlehem, Ramallah are some you've heard of. Also, there are hundreds of Israeli settlements, military outposts.
An Israel note, a succinct overview of how, when, and why the West Bank came to be what it is today, is found in Episode 4 of Israeli Voices, which is set on the West Bank. So, Rasul, the gentleman we're going to meet in Haifa, he's Palestinian, Israeli?
Also complicated. There are three status of the Arabs between the Jordan, the river of the sea. The first one is Arab with Israeli citizenship. Rasul, who we go to meet now in Haifa, he is Arab Israeli. Many Jewish Israelis prefer the term Arab Israeli. This is a name that was given by the Jewish Israelis.
An Israel note. Okay, Hillock refers to a tangled matter we seek to deal with in a top-line, certainly not comprehensive way. There are about 7.5 million Palestinians in the lands that used to be known as Palestine. This includes Israel, East Jerusalem, the West Bank, Gaza, as well as Palestinian refugees in Jordan. Some Jewish and other Israelis opt to call Palestinians Arabs, as in Arab Israeli, West Bank Arabs, Jerusalemite Arabs, and so forth. They may do so for a number of reasons. Among them is not giving Arabs a name that infers they have entitlement to Palestine, an historically opaque region that's historically been home to Jews, Arabs, and many other peoples over thousands of years. Sorry, but we make this subject a little more befuddling. As you will hear throughout our program, some Israelis use Palestinian and Arab interchangeably. We also observe that some Palestinians and their supporters call Jewish citizens of Israel Zionists, occupiers, colonists, not Israelis. The intent is to signal and Israel is not a permanent sovereign state, but a temporary occupation of Palestinian territory. We have chosen not to get into some of the other issues, and they would make this explanation even more complicated. Instead, we note that Palestinian and Israeli are terms generally applied worldwide, and we choose to use them when citizen arts, meaning Jim and Jeff, not necessarily our guests, are speaking in this podcast.
Who are the Arab Israelis? Those are Arabs that during the War of Independence stayed in the new state of Israel, and eventually they become full citizens. They can vote, they can elect, they have protection, they have the same healthcare as me, they don't have to go to the military.
Why are they excluded from the military?
They can volunteer for military, and some do, but we don't want to ask them to fight their own people. The second group is Arab without Israeli citizenship. Those are in Gaza, in the West Bank. So if people from outside says, oh, Israel is an apartheid state because it doesn't supply medical services to Arabs in Ramallah, Ramallah is not Israel. When Israel signed the Oslo Accord in 1993, Israel withdrew from the Arab cities. Arabs in these cities are not citizens of Israel.
The Palestinians granted citizenship. Do they have to accept it?
They automatically receive citizenship. They do not apply. What you refer as third group of Arabs between Jordan River and sea?
What's this on the side of the highway?
Those are remains of Israeli military vehicles from the War of Independence. Reminders that democracy and sovereignty come with sacrifice. Yeah, we paid in blood of our brave sons and daughters, and we are still doing that today.
Are these Israeli flags along the highway always up?
No, they're not always up. Now, the third group is from East Jerusalem and Golan Heights, territories taken over by Israel in the Six-Day War, 1967. East Jerusalem annexed in 1968. Arabs there and in Golan Heights are Israeli residents but not citizens. They can vote for the municipal government, but they cannot vote for the Israeli Knesset, the parliament. They can apply for Israeli citizenship. As residents, they have the legal rights, and again, they don't need to go to the military.
But they could go to the military.
Yes, they can volunteer. Yeah, but none of them will want. For the same reason as Arabs with Israeli citizenship. Yeah. And this is the problem that I have with both of these groups. They want to take advantage of our country. The education, the health, the freedom. They don't want to contribute anything. They don't feel part. Most of them, not all of them, they will litter. They do crime. I think most in East Jerusalem should move to the West Bank. So those are the three groups. The Arab with Israeli citizenship can be elected as president or prime minister. Officially, there is equality. Discrimination is not allowed according to the law, but we have many problems. I would like to see my country doing a better job with equality budgets for infrastructure, for health, for education, crime, police. But I want to see the Arab Israelis doing their part for my country.
You're saying that Palestinians in Israel are discriminated against in the mainstream society.
Yes, but do you think that in America all groups receive the same?
Of course not.
So it's the same in Israel. I would say two things. One, rights are not given on civil platter. You have to be in the political coalition. There only been one time that the Arabs were in the coalition. The Arabs must understand that they have to go vote and they have to be in the coalition. They always says, no, we don't want to play the political game, because if we're going to go to the government, we're going to recognize Israel. And this is another thing. I want to see them integrate fully. The Arab Israeli are in the most difficult place. On one hand, many Israelis see them as fifth column. You can't blame the Jews. If you could see Arab Israeli citizen is happy on October 7, terrorist attack on Jews You can't blame the Jews to react the way they are.
Was that widespread?
No, it's not widespread.
What were the reactions amongst the Palestinian Arabs in East Jerusalem?
Some of them were happy. Some of them didn't came to work because some of them were afraid some extreme Jewish Israelis will beat them. Again, the Arab Israelis are between a rock and a hard place. The Jewish Israelis don't accept them. The Arabs in the West Bank and Gaza call them traitors because they are living in Israel and cooperate with them. The majority of people in the north are Arabs. And Haifa is a very good example of coexistence. By the way, between Jewish and Arab Israelis, the War of Independence, the Jews of Haifa tried to convince the Arabs of Haifa to stay. The Syrian military convinced the Arabs of Haifa to leave. We're going to throw the Jews into the sea and then you can come back. The Jews won the war and the Arab refugees couldn't come back. By the way, when we started to have an Arab refugee problem, we also had a Jewish refugee problem that no one's talking about it. The Arab countries told their Jews to get out, or we're gonna burn you alive. 700,000 Jews from Iraq, Egypt, Morocco, Yemen, Syria, Lebanon came to Israel.
What is the perception in the Jewish-Israeli community about how the Palestinian-Israeli community would react if there were another invasion of the country by Arab countries? Would they be loyal to Israel?
I would say that people on the right side of the map will say that though the Arab Israel will join with the Arabs, people in the center or left will say maybe they will not join. It's hard to say.
What's the attitude about intermarriage between Palestinians and Jews?
Some Jews have problems with this. I do not. No. It's an Arab Israeli. Was born in Israel, has Israeli citizenship. Many are highly educated. I think that they are most educated in the Arab world, percentage-wise going to university.
Are there Palestinians living in your neighborhood in Jerusalem?
Maybe in my neighborhood there is some Arabs. It's a free country. You can live wherever you want.
They say you can, but is it like other countries, including my own, where there can be unofficial barriers to keep certain people out?
Yes, the barrier, yeah. I don't have a problem that an Arab will be my neighbor. I rented my apartment for Arabs. There are Arabs that live in Jewish neighborhoods, but it's not very common. Also not common Jews live in Arab neighborhood.
A small town south of Haifa. Here is memorialized the first Aliyah, the first arrival of Jews in Palestine from Eastern Europe, starting at the end of the 19th century. Aided by the Rothschilds and other Jewish European philanthropists, they acquired farmland from Palestinians. Across from the memorial is this cemetery. I've wandered in. I'm curious about whether the gravestones will tell me about the earliest Eastern European Jews who came here. But everything's in Hebrew, and I'm alone, my friends having gone somewhere else. Except in this corner of the cemetery. Now I'm seeing Hebrew and some English. This is for Israeli soldiers. Many of the graves are recent. Many of them, mementos have been placed by families. It's intimate, heartrending. Like I saw at the memorial and the site of the Nova Festival. Beside one of the graves, the banner talks about an infantry captain killed liberating, and oh my God, it's Kibbutz Be'eri on October 7th, 2023. Far from here at the Gaza border. My memory of just a few days ago, walking in that destroyed kibbutz, it now chills me. I see again the streets of burned homes. I hear again the recounting of murders. And I'm imagining what happened to this young man. Perhaps in one of the houses I looked into, one of those damaged, burned out houses. Perhaps in one of the streets we walked. Like him, I was once a captain. I was in a war, and I feel an inexplicable connection to him. It's pain. It's pain for his loss. I want to stay here with him in peaceful solitude to him. My friends calling for me to come. Dear listener, the massacres at Kibbutz Be'eri and the Nova Music Festival are recounted in episode 1 of Israeli Voices. Mount Carmel. Prophet Elijah brought down fire here to challenge and defeat the pagan worshippers of Baal. Mount Carmel slopes down to Haifa. It's Israel's third largest city after Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. In sight of the Technion, Israel's oldest and one of the world's esteemed universities. Fountainhead for tiny Israel's big accomplishments in technology and engineering. A key source of the moniker Startup Nation. A repository, I imagine, of mom and dad dreams of children coming here and graduating to become tech innovators and moguls, not so much doctors and lawyers anymore. It's Ethan, right?
Yes, Ethan.
German's Jeff. What are you studying?
Food engineering.
Food engineering.
Yeah, food tech and all that.
How'd you get to food engineering?
Well, I thought of it this way. I like engineering, I like food.
So you can engineer your own food?
Oh, yes.
Well, that's pretty cool. When you graduate, where do you work?
Right, so there's two obvious courses to take after this degree. The first is you're more a classical industrial engineer. That just means, going to a food factory, designing the new flavor of chips or whatever.
Oh, okay.
The other path, the more research-adjacent path, is stuff like artificial meat, 3D printed proteins, all of that stuff.
3D printed proteins. Ha! Sounds yummy. So down the road, that's all we're going to be eating, right?
Well, I suppose so.
Oh boy.
It has its benefits.
Yeah, like what?
It's sustainable. It's supposed to be cheaper.
Yeah, but what's the most important, right?
It's supposed to be tasty.
Exactly. Does it taste good? That's all.
But we're quite a ways away from that, so...
Well, it sounds like a fascinating field.
Oh, absolutely. It's so practical as well. Every application is so relevant to our day-to-day lives.
Did you have that memorized?
No. But it just so happens that, every time I mention what field I'm studying, that exact same question pops up. So it's kind of a bottled answer.
Where do you live when you're not at school?
20 minutes south of Tel Aviv.
And you're living here in the dorms?
No, actually, I've got a shared apartment.
Well, important. How about the girls here?
It's a very technical campus. Therefore, it's mostly male engineers.
Is it a particularly winding and challenging path to get into technical?
Yeah, it's quite difficult. You gotta score high on your SATs, on your Bagrut, high school exams, all of it.
We understand Technion is an incubator for all sorts of entrepreneurial enterprises.
They do. If I may ask, what brings you here?
Oh, we create educational programs. We're here doing one on Israel, and we've been meeting people all over the country.
That's cool. We're certainly in need of some good PR right about now.
Well, we need good people like you to talk to us. So what I understand, the people here call MIT the Technion of America.
It's equivalent.
What do you think it is about the Israeli nature that gets people like you so motivated to go out to technology, engineering type areas and come up with new stuff?
I got an idea, and it's not inherently positive, but it certainly has good results. I would say a tough upbringing and a new nation found its new years before the country got up and running, that they needed to educate the new minds to set up this new nation. And, well, that's what happened. And it also just so happens that new minds that need educating keep on coming. I mean, a great number of students here are new immigrants just coming into Israel.
And is there a particular area of the world they're coming from?
Right now, it's from Eastern Europe, including Ukraine. There's been constant waves of immigration, and each time you got to educate the new minds. They want to make a living from this for themselves, make a name for themselves, and so on. And so they come to these big, high-name education facilities. And we're definitely still focused on the practicality because we're still you could say, not a fully realized nation yet. We still have a lot of developing to do.
Your English is great. You just picked that up in school? You've been to the States? UK?
No. I was a kid. I wanted to watch the cool TV shows, play cool video games. I had no option but to learn English.
Well, you are extremely well-spoken. And I'm not talking about just your words. I'm talking about your thoughtfulness, your understanding of things.
Thank you.
Thank you. All the best to you in your career.
Thank you very much.
May we see your name in lights for something you have invented. The cheapest, most nutritious, tastiest food ever.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Rasul, how are you?
Huh.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Here we are. We're sitting in a cafe in Haifa.
Yeah.
How far are we from the Mediterranean?
Yeah, it's right over here.
It has sort of a Mediterranean feel, low scale, got charm to it, easy going. How did you come to be here in Haifa?
Actually, the direct reason is because my wife, she used to live here. She wanted to go back. She said, if you want to be with me, come to me. Today, I can say that Haifa is the ultimate place to live for like Arab, Palestinian, Israeli citizen. I used to live in Tel Aviv. It's too fast. And even it's like the liberal city, you are not really feeling belong to it. And I grew up in town called Shafamir. It's like 30 minutes from here, close to Nazareth. It's a beautiful place, historical place. My family is still there, but all Arab towns in Israel suffering from lack of personal security. In another job, I used to fight the criminal organizations and work with the police promoting personal security. The ultimate place to be is here. There is a sea, there is a mountain, the Carmel mountain. There is we are here in the downtown, who's like more young, more like an Arab Palestinian culture. There is a good people here. Israeli, Arab, Jew.
You're the third person I've spoken to so far who has referred to the ultimate boss, and it's always been the wife.
So we are like normative people, That's the standard. I think all of us, like Palestinian Jewish in this land, have much more value for family. And woman keeps the family alive. The wife rule in our lives.
Well, I certainly can relate to that. You've done multiple things in your life. Let's start with when you were in school and what you studied and what you thought you wanted to be and how it came to be that you're doing what you do today.
I think my story starts with my family story. My family used to live in a small village until 1948, when Israel formed. And after 1948, they start a journey for 25 years. They moved in 6 different locations. This is a story about almost 40% from the Arab Israeli citizens. I grew up among Muslims, Christian, and Druze. Such a mix that everyone asks themselves who we are, who you are, and what you want to do. I have this story of my life from both sides, my father and my mother. They all refugees with this mindset and objective history. On the other hand, my friends are not similar to me. There are a few cultural differences, but they are not me. It's not. They are not refugees. They are not Muslims, and I am searching all the time and looking for stories and narratives to deliver my own story. But even with all of the change and mixing, I know I want to be. Since I was a kid, I chose to be a lawyer. I went to study law.
Did you have a lawyer in the family?
No. My father and my grandfather, both of them were teachers. teacher and principal of schools. I had some friends from the youth period. They become drug addicted. They have problems because they're coming from poor, destroyed families, and I want to help them. So I chose to study law. I went to Bar Ilan Law School near Tel Aviv, a very good school. I wanted to practice a criminal law. I'm the only Arab guy in my class for all the years. But there were some Arabs at the school. If I choose to learn in Haifa University, we talk about like 40% is Arab students. So I think I will get to know the different kind of Jewish, not the Jews who I was met here at Haifa or my parents' friends. They were more secular Jews. In Bar Ilan, they are more like religious, Orthodox Jews. Also, the Arab students that I met at Bar Ilan, they also more conservative, religious. So it's like, let's start working. So one thing I did was to build the Arab Students Committee, and we were less than 2% from the campus, it's like nothing. But we did join together. After like building the Arab Students Committee, we asked like to do two things mainly for the Arab students. One was a stand-up show in Arabic. The second, the students need some small room to pray. That's the two biggest achievements. Having the name, the Arab Students Committee, was considered as a political issue.
Did that become a difficult issue?
Sure.
Was there pushback from the administration?
Yeah, in a way. But after that, I was able to join the Arab Students Committee to the National Israeli Union of Students. That's the organizations who's like bringing the whole students' committees in Israel together. At that time, Israel wanted to join OECD, a global forum of today over like 30 countries who's like advanced economics. OECD told the Israeli government, guys, if we want to join, keep your strong economic, you need to integrate the Arabs into the Israeli economics. And it started with the higher education. In past, Israeli Arab communities choose not to be integrated and involved in higher education and in employment, as well in the army. But new Israeli government promoted higher education for the Arab youth. We were 9.4% of Israeli students. Back then, today, after 15 years from this resolution, we are 21% of Israeli students.
That's representative of the Israeli Arab population now.
Sure, it's like a representative of the population, and we should remind that the Arab population in Israel, it's young. Like we talk about the average age is 22 years old. It's like almost half of our population. There is a gap for 5 years between the average age between Israeli Jewish and Israeli Arabs. That's mainly health issues related to medical care for older people, that sort of thing. It's also about like the physical infrastructure, sanitation, transportation. To us, it's also about the kind of jobs that like Arabs do. It's like more physical, and also diseases like heart attacks from smoking, from diet. It's much more like the Arab population outside Israel than Israeli Jewish or other population.
So when you started at Bar Ilan, you were the only person in your class who was Arab background. What about now? Are there more Arab students there?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Also in Bar Ilan, I'm sure. The people there is really very good people. Like, and with the good intentions, they are helping. My experience was very good.
Okay, so you are coming in from a certain cultural upbringing, inculcated with an Arab worldview, and suddenly you're in a world where there are different views. Did that affect you, or have you retained more of your Arab self?
No, I believe that identity is a change all the time. If you're open to ideas and you're looking for the truth, for sure you have changes. Arab Palestinian identity is coming from also history and narrative. and Jewish identity is coming from history and narrative.
As you went along, you had Jewish friends.
I used to live even with Jewish friends.
Okay, what do you think you brought to your Jewish friends? Did you ever discuss with them, okay, you're starting to get who I am?
Sure, all the time.
What was it they learned from you?
It's a good question. I think I brought to them a few things. The first one, that I have different perceptions about what happens in Israel and the Middle East. The second, I am part of a very rich and wide culture who's belonging to this region. And if you're trying to understand why things happen, you cannot see the world and the reality just in your eyes. I think and that brings them a lot of hope that we can live together and we want to live together. And we did it. We lived together, we were roommates, and we worked together. Mostly the workplaces were Jewish, not even a mix, and we succeed. I think that all the time there is the issue of shared society in Israel. It's one of the topics that people for generations work on it and search it and trying to bring answer for a huge question about how we can live together in a state who's consider themselves Jewish and democratic. What's the meaning for me to be a minority when I'm indigenous citizen? My cultural heritage, my identity here much before the state of Israel, and talking as an Arab. I'm related to 400 million Arab people around, but I'm minority here in Israel.
Did you find it challenging to get that kind of understanding communicated to your Jewish friends, the people you met?
Sure, there is a lot of what I would call it knowledge gaps. And it's complicated because in Israel, there is what is called 4 tribes. Each tribe is studying in a different school system and has different cultural traditions.
An Israel note. Reuven Rivlin, a former president of Israel, spoke of 4 modern Israeli tribes: secular Jews, religious Zionist Jews, Haredim, they're ultra-Orthodox Jews, and the 4th, Arab citizens of Israel. Rivlin advocated for a transformation of Israel's tribal identity to what he called a common Israeliness that bridges cultural, religious, and other divisions.
So it's a different narrative with different views about the country. If you talk to secular Jews in Tel Aviv and elsewhere, you'll think that Israel is one thing. If you go to the Haredi in Jerusalem and elsewhere, there is another thing. If you go to the Israeli settlers, many of them religious Zionists. A third thing, if you going by the Arab system, it's like a 4th issue. 4 different education systems, 4 different narratives, 4 different set of ideas. So for sure, in a meeting between these populations, there is a huge gaps in knowledge, in perspectives, and in views about the past and the future. Most Jewish and Arab students in Israel, they can finish through basic schooling without reaching even one different friend in other tribes. It can continue in university. I would actively search and looking for different people, to know them, to talk to them. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't all the time kind, but it's what brought me to be a person who can see the wider picture and not just my narrative.
In my experience, people like you are rare, trying to be open-minded, curious.
Yeah, I don't meet many people like that.
People have their worldviews, and they're often comfortable in that world and don't extend out. And I've seen this all over the world: China, India, Europe, US, Israel.
Yeah.
Why did you become who you are?
My mother would answer you that since I was kid, I have a lot of questions. I think it's like coming from my parents' home and the experience that I'm not belonging for anywhere. In my hometown, I'm considered as a stranger because my family was not originally from there. We came later. I went to a mostly Jewish university. I was a minority, but in my mindset, I'm not a minority. And after that, I noticed that, it's not about my identity, just as an Arab. It's about my values and my perspectives. I learned I have a lot of shared ideas and values with people who's not coming from my background. I share values with liberal Jews from Tel Aviv rather than just much of the conservative Muslims from my community. I come to believe I'm serving my community because I want my people to be safe, to live in dignity, to be with self-confidence, to ask themselves about our identity, that we can bring something new to Israel, to the world. We cannot do this if isolated in ourselves, our communities. So it's like this tango. I remember myself, I do this dance, going to build the Arab Students Committee and then choose to join the Israeli National Union students. And after that, like to be part of the Arab Palestinian civic organizations, but is still working at the Knesset to be part of the government system.
How did you get involved with the Israeli parliament?
I was becoming a spokesperson for the Israeli Arab students issue. First time I came to Knesset, it was like 2011, and there is for the Jewish students who's learning Arabic in schools, they get what they call 10% leverage.
They're getting a 10% stipend?
Yes. Stipend if you choose to learn Arabic in schools. But the education ministry, we want to cancel that. And I speak before education committee at Knesset. I say it seems it's a good thing that we need. So I'm like defend that policy. I say language is a bridge between cultures, and when Jews learning Arabic, it will bring much more shared society, and Jewish and Arabic can be less afraid one from the other. And when I finished to talk, the next speaker was the Israeli Defensive Force representative. And they told if the Jewish students don't learn Arabic, we will have problems with getting people to do IDF intelligence. Yeah. And for me it was, no. So I speak to them again and say to Knesset, I'm taking back everything I said, so you can cancel it. That was my first time at the Knesset. To be there, to tell your truth, to represent your values for the Israeli public was of great meaning to me. We Israeli Arabs, we are here and we have a lot to say and we have a lot of good things to do as an Israeli, as the citizens. I think that all the time, as a minority, you need the majority to see you, to hear you. That is the way in the future we rebuild trust. Trust starting when we know and recognize, not accept. You don't need to accept the narrative, but you need to know it, because after that, you can start talking about the shared issues.
And Israel note, Israel does not today have a stipend program for Jewish students who take Arabic. The Israeli government does invest in programs that support Arabic studies in state schools, though as you will hear in subsequent episodes of Israeli Voices, these programs may have marginal to non-existent application, especially through the high school level. There are programs that specifically support IDF-related needs for Arabic studies.
I chose in 2019 to go to Poland in a tour for the Holocaust and to be in Auschwitz and seeing, feeling, studying the Holocaust from my eyes as an Arab Palestinian. Even if this narrative isn't the Israeli one or that Zionist one, I need to know it. So I yes expect from my colleagues and friends to do the same for me, to know my story and my family story.
And have they done that?
Part of them, yeah.
How many other people from your background were on that trip learning about the Holocaust?
A few.
What did you learn?
Oh, a lot of things. First, when you talk about the feelings of the Jewish friends and what happens to the families, but after that, I remember there is a lot of stories of my grandmother when her parents is running in 1948, 3 years old girl. And I remember the picture of my grandfather, 17 years old, who's moving his mother and father outside in bad circumstance. So I cannot see one side with no seeing the other. For me, it was shocking. The same feelings. As Arabs, we have, as a second or third generation, is what Jewish still feel about the Holocaust. Of course, there are huge differences in the magnitude of horrible history, but individual feelings are same. And the second issue for me was to learn about attitudes, actions of Germans who in power. That this very much of interest to me. As a lawyer, we have a lot of friends who is like a higher position in the Israeli government. We ask ourselves about the civic responsibility for human lives, even when you think that you are doing professional working. After the last 2 years of war in particular, I think it's a huge question that we as professionals need to ask ourselves, because at the end of the day, we may hurt a lot of human beings. I keep remind myself every day that my responsibility to be like a public professional activist to ask this question about corruption in our like local systems as an Arab, but also about what the Israeli government did. And for me, these were the biggest issues that I come back with. The humanitarian trauma and how people and groups deal with it, but also the civic responsibility that we need as individuals to take. In the last decade, I'm focusing on two main issues. First one is building leadership infrastructure in the Arab towns, in the Arab community.
What is the mechanism for doing that?
It's starting from leadership trainings program. Now I'm building a network, bringing activists and organization and community leadership together and like to improve our daily life. It's like what we call like a trust building process with the Jewish community. Talking about the conflict, talking about the shared society, talking about how even to be much more involved in the professional life.
You had the organization that's taking this initiative.
Yes, Kulna. It's Kulna. It means all of us. Before that, I used to be a COO of organization who's working with the government about social economic implementation resolutions. Before that, I worked at the biggest Israeli leadership network, and I was vice president.
Do you have a family?
I am married, no children, not yet. Our decision to get married happens after October 7th. Suddenly we need this feeling of like family and building a family. My wife, she's awesome, smart, she's also a lawyer, she's a defender. There's the sea.
Oh, there it is.
Let's go there.
Yes, please.
I have a lot of friends or people that I know who were being killed because the crime and violence in the towns. I have Jewish friends that they lose families or relatives in the war. In 1947 to 1948, me myself has a family in Gaza from my mother's side. My Jewish roommate from college, he called me and said, Rasul, I know what you think, but it's a war, I'm a soldier, I must be going there. As a Palestinian, I want to say, don't go there, you are my friend, you are a good guy, don't. But I choose not to do that. I choose to tell them, I'm sure that you're gonna do the right thing for you and the other people. I respect him, and I know that he believes that he is serving his people and his country. Even I not accept this war, even I am struggling against these kind of policies.
What do you think about where we are now and related to the war? How do we get past this? How do we deal with this? How do we make this work for everybody?
For me, it's like first to recognize that people defending their own emotions and beliefs in these extreme times, that it's like about white or black.
Mm-hmm.
There is no gray, there is no middle. And each side want like to declare and to believe that we have the whole right to do whatever we want, the right with us, the truth with us. We hear that all the time. So what I do in these cases, I choose actually in my public stance to be rational and keep my emotions for the personal conversations. When you have high rates of trust.
Religion. What role does it play in your life?
For a long time, I consider myself as an atheist. Because, you know, when you grow up with communist people, that's the standard. When I was chosen to be the Arab students leader, some of the religious students, the Islamic party, I would say, they attacked me. How come that Arab students leader or like representative is an atheist? So then I start read and learn from the Quran to use it as a conversation tool. And when I learn more, I become more believer. So today I'm a believer. I believe in God. I trust God. I love God. I'm a Muslim believer who's married to a Christian woman, and we are like celebrating everything. I feel comfortable with my belief, and it's made me a much more good person, you know, and like more open for others. I have a difficulties to understand people who are religious, who choose to be much more close for themselves. I understand they are more close to the religious community, but to be close to God is to be much more open to diverse and differences between people and culture.
That's a beautiful thing you can take from religion and from spirituality.
But it's bring a lot of work to do.
This requires much self-aware. I have faced the gaps between what God asked from us or telling us and what the political religious did to us. It's about the decades that religious political leaders took the religion and make it serve them. They state that it is right action for Islam, Christianity, Judaism, and other religions. Many of their actions not good for building trust or building healthy society where different peoples live together in peace.
What do you do when you're not working?
Oh, I'm reading a lot.
The last book I finished a few days ago called
To Be Surrounded with Idiots. It's talking about like psychological behavior and how life was controlled by social media. When I have the holidays, I do scuba dive mostly on Sinai, beautiful place with the blue hole. And you know, I'm trying to keep time to family and friends. I have parents with some needs.
You have a big family?
Yeah, big extended family, an explosion of social event, absolutely.
So, you know, we have a lot of weddings.
Over there was Iranian missile and that is the government building for Haifa. The Iranian missile come very close, almost hit the building, just destroyed a lot nearby. My wife's office is right there.
Really close.
Yeah. That's one lesson, that in war, you can choose side you want, but war don't give a shit about which side you choose to be, yeah?
Once the rockets go up, who knows where they'll come down?
Yeah, nobody knows exactly what it's going to hit.
Exactly.
Have you considered running for political office? Maybe to be in the Knesset?
No. It's not my dream. I like politics, but I don't like to be a politician. Politics influence everything in our life. Politics that we have been seeing in the last 30, 40 years, it's need to be changed. It's come with economic and security challenges that the whole world now is facing. So we need a new kind of politics.
And I prefer work for that on the ground, local level, with people to talk about our dreams. Not looking to be a politician with this. It's not useful. Yeah, well, for sure to be an Arab member of Knesset, it means to be in the opposition automatically and to listen for, idiots who talk at you all time. Don't listen. Don't make me part of change. But now, with my work, I meet serious people and have serious conversation, and we can make changes.
You see here, it's like
All the destruction in the structures. An Iranian rocket hit somewhere along here.
they're asking not to picture here.
Okay, cameras off.
Yeah, this restaurant not damaged. Very good.
By the way, what's your favorite food?
Arab kitchen,
Known for meat.
I like it pretty much. Italian kitchen, I like it. I like the kitchen, so for me, enter the kitchen and do some food.
Yeah.
It's a healing, you know. In stress days, I choose to finish it on the kitchen, prepare something. So Italian and meat, it's like they are good things, easy to work with it.
Can you do this? Try again. It's pretty weak. Well, now we got it. Okay. With the snap of a finger, you have granted yourself special powers to change instantly something that you feel deeply needs change. What would you change?
The crime and violence.
This is reality in many Arab towns. The lack of personal security. I would change that. Have better life for my people.
Thank you for listening to episode 3 of Israeli Voices, Who We Are. Many, many thanks to Rasul Sada. You'll find out more about Rasul in our show notes. In episode 4, Living the Settler Life on the West Bank. Citizen Arts is a not-for-profit 501c3 educational organization that seeks to present constructive, compelling information, ideas, and opinions about important civic, social, and cultural matters. We very much welcome your feedback. Dear listeners, please stay healthy in mind and body, wealthy in goodwill, and wise in action. I'm Jim Gabe, Citizen Arts founder. Jill Gabe is executive producer. Jeff Lewis is producer and artistic director. Hillik Wald is our Israel field producer.